Welcome back to another episode of the Mega Smash Poll Ultimate. We've covered characters, we've done stages, and so now it only makes sense to look at items. But if you haven't seen those previous episodes, get back into your assist capsule and go watch them first, as we'll assume you have when going forward with this one. Just tap the glass when you're ready to continue. So items, they've been a staple part of this series since its first game, but they're also a part of the game that not everyone uses. In the competitive side of Super Smash Bros., items are always ignored because they cause too much randomness and can easily turn the tide of battle. But in casual, they can allow for some hilarious fun. We asked you all whether you played with items on or not, and 20.14% of respondents said always, while only 9.82% said never. But we had some in-between options for this one, with friends only and rarely, which means changing it up every now and again. That was by far the most popular choice, with 42.36% voting for it, but friends came second with 27.68%. So most voters did have experience with the items in the game, and as far as how satisfying the item variety was, the number just went up, with 29.61% of voters being extremely satisfied. That said, unlike other satisfaction questions we've had in the past, this one was more spread out, with 6.10% of people only giving the item choices a 5 out of 10. This is partly because of some fun items being removed, while others found that too many items might do the same thing, being close-hitting items or gun-based items. There are a lot of items in this game though, so some are bound to overlap. But what is everyone's favourite item? Well, I can say that it's not any of these four for sure, as they got 0 votes each. Yep, I'm just going to tell you this time. We have 3 top 10 lists to cover in this video because items can be split into 3 types: the general items, the Pokémon, and the assist trophies. On that note, for the item poll we specifically asked people not to vote for the Pokéball item or assist trophy item. In hindsight, we said this because we didn't want people voting for the assist trophies and Pokémon themselves, but that meant those 2 items specifically didn't get counted when they probably should have. A mistake on our part, but it's too late to change that. I'm sure everyone loves these items though, so if they were included, they probably would have dominated this first top 10. Starting us off in 10th place, we have the Super Launch Star from Super Mario Galaxy. Our first brand new item, the Super Launch Star is a really creative concept for an item that's loyal to its origins. It can lead to some very silly KOs, which are fun to laugh at in casual matches, but for those taking the item game a bit more seriously, a strategically placed launch star that you can combo your opponents into can lead to some amazing wins. Coming in 9th place, we have the Gust Bellows from Skyward Sword. Introduced in Smash 4, the Gust Bellows is an absolutely broken item that uses continuous and high pressure wind to blow opponents off the stage and hopefully off the screen. For some this could be annoying, but for most players it's just very funny. As one commenter put it, hee ho, funny airbox go brrrr. Next up we have an honorary member of the cast. Our 8th place position belongs to Mr. Saturn from the Earthbound series. This little thing is a dopey looking character and a really funny idea for an item, as it just plods along the stage when summoned and has no control when it gets picked up and thrown by the player. But don't underestimate this guy. If you try to block an incoming Mr. Saturn, your shield will shatter and he'll make a funny wee noise as he does it. Another new item, Death's Scythe from the Castlevania franchise, takes the number 7 spot on our list, and this is mainly thanks to it being an oh so satisfying weapon to use. If it hits an opponent who is at over 100% damage, this scythe deals an instant KO, which is crazy powerful. It's a cool weapon that has a lot of versatility and strategy when dealing damage to opponents, making it a very useful melee weapon. We go back to a classic for 6th place, it's the Beam Sword. This lightsaber knockoff has versatility as it's useful for both close quarters combat and as a throwing item, but what really sold a lot of players on it is the balance. The Beam Sword is a nice and simple weapon that doesn't feel ridiculously overpowered, but always provides an advantage to the user. So it's always a boon to get, but not so stressful when your opponent equips it. Top 5 now, and it's time to get goofy with the Banana Gun. A new item introduced in Ultimate, the Banana Gun is just a great concept for an item, due to being useful and funny. It's a banana, but it's also a gun. What's not to love? What pushed it beyond, however, was how the weapon has multiple uses. The projectile explodes, sure, but the gun left behind doesn't just become a random throwing weapon like others do. It becomes a banana peel that can cause opponents to slip and fall, giving it another layer of use. A multifaceted item in a potassium-filled package. Possibly the most iconic item in all of Super Smash Bros. History, the hammer from Donkey Kong is the original OKO item. While it is technically possible to survive a hit from this thing, chances are you will be instantly knocked out by it. So every time it appears on the stage, the match becomes a mad dash to see who can get it first. For the player who does, they are greeted with a goofy animation of their fighter swinging the hammer back and forth while a memorable jingle plays over all other sounds. A warning to other players to get out of there as fast as they can. Of course, the final Smash Ball was going to be on here somewhere. While the option of having a super bar has made this item less of a requirement, it still provides the player with a cool looking, flashy and powerful finishing move that can easily turn a match around. And just like the hammer, as soon as this item appears during a match, it completely shifts the tone of battle, from a test of combat skills to a chase. Iconic and impactful, it takes the bronze medal. Now coming in for the silver, it's another classic item of the series, the Home Run Bat. While it can be used much like the Beam Sword, a simple close combat weapon, it's when a smash attack is attempted that this item really becomes a game changer. Batter up, because the fighter with this item is going in for a satisfying bonk that is sure to cause opponents to fly out of the arena. But it's not an easy OKO to achieve. There's a lot of build up on the swing that leaves the player vulnerable, meaning this item is really a classic high risk, high reward type of deal. And the number one item in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the Beast Ball. This was a surprise, but this new addition to the series received a ton of votes from players for a multitude of reasons. It's fun and easy to use, but it has a really cool gimmick, warping from its thrown location to the nearest player. But this simple mechanic has a lot of hype and versatility around it, as skilled players can use the Beast Ball in conjunction with other moves to pull off extremely cool combos and finishing moves. A simple but awesome item, and the most popular in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So that's the first top 10 out of the way, so time for a little break before we move on to assist trophies. And did you know that we have a Patreon? Signing up for even $1 a month gets you early access to some of our bigger videos and access to a special Discord channel and voice chat. It's a good time all around. There are more tiers as well, so when you're done with this video, why not go check it out? For this series, we are releasing the next video on Patreon the same time this one goes live here, so you can see the data early. Anyway, enough of a plug, we don't do this very often. Let's look at the top 10 assist trophies. Coming in 10th is Mr. America, Guile from Street Fighter. While many would have liked to see Chun-Li, Guile is a well-known character and many like him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for being just a big old meme. His ability here is a really funny and cool reference to how many competitive players use Guile, prioritizing his great flash kick counter. It's faithful for all the wrong reasons and we love it. Coming in joint 8th place, it's Shadow the Hedgehog. Many were upset he didn't get added as an Echo Fighter for Sonic, but he still managed to retain his assist trophy status even as Knuckles was added to the game as well. Shadow's Chaos Control attack is one of those cool effects that's not chaotic for the user and supports the player in pulling off some sick combos. But most of all, Shadow is just a cool character and many players' favourite Sonic character. Also in 8th place we have Bomberman, the fan favourite of many and a character and icon that many wished made it into the fighting roster. Still, most fans are just happy to see him here, and his abilities as an assist trophy feel very authentic to his home series. His attacks are very destructive and give off the Bomberman vibe, and is always a fun one to summon. Up next is another character that many fans wished was playable, Zero from the Mega Man X and Zero games. In Smash Bros, he already looks a lot like a fighter, and so just like Bomberman, many fans are just glad he is here. He's very faithful to his games, and it's fun to see him run around the stage and attack. A fan favourite Mega Man character who will hopefully get a chance in the next game. Dawn of the 6th place, it's the Moon from Majora's Mask. This assist trophy is a massive spectacle when it is summoned, hurtling towards the arena ready to crush everyone who gets in its way. Its destructive force, capable of KOing all opponents, is one reason why many enjoy this trophy, but the main reason is that it's just a very funny summon. Who would have thought the moon would be on our side this time? Moving on from the moon to a golden sun, Isaac takes the 5th place position. Isaac was previously an assist trophy in Super Smash Bros. Brawl and has returned in Ultimate better than ever before. It's still a shame he wasn't playable, as he is several fans' top requests for the roster, but given that Golden Sun hasn't had much acknowledgement over the years, a lot of fans are just happy to see Isaac make the cut at all. Waking up from a long nap to claim his 4th place position, it's Castlevania's Alucard, son of Dracula. He had to be here somewhere as one of the most popular characters in the Castlevania series, and just like Zero, he looks like a natural fit as he runs around the battlefield taking down opponents. Very strong and useful, Alucard is a faithful recreation of his Symphony of the Night toolkit, and another contender for the next Super Smash Bros. Game. Coming in 3rd, we have Rathalos, the main monster of Monster Hunter. This big wyvern is a boss in a jar, more of a threat than other assist trophies and one who always manages to disrupt a battle. But for the one who summoned him, he isn't annoying in the slightest and a very welcome support. Wah! Just missing out on 1st place as always, it's many players' favourite Mario character, Waluigi. What can we really say about this dastardly anti-hero? He's a funny guy and one of the next major Mario characters for the roster. As always next time Waluigi, just try a little harder. Striking for gold, the most popular assist trophy in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is Shovel Knight. This Azure warrior has a lot of fans and many of them wanted to see him make the roster, but as an indie character this felt like a pipe dream. Well, as it turns out, being an indie rep isn't an issue for getting a big presence in Super Smash Bros., which Shovel Knight certainly got. He even looks like a fighter already. Alright, one more top 10 to go with Pokémon and this video is done. But if you want some more Super Smash Bros. Content after this, might I recommend our Fighter Spirit series and our video series on why characters made it into Super Smash Bros.? Both are paused right now while we focused on getting these results out, but the scripts and research are done for future episodes, so it won't be too long till the next ones come out. So catch up after this video and enjoy. They're big, they're terrifying, they're huggable? Beware from Pokémon Sun and Moon comes in at 10th place. This big bruiser is a funny Pokémon to summon, as they just walk around the stage menacingly. If you leave them alone it's fine, but if any opponent gets close they receive an uppercut to the chin that's extremely powerful, often immediately killing anyone. For a teddy bear it sure does pack a punch. It's surprising to see it, but Mew, the original mythic Pokémon, takes the 9th place spot. When Mew comes out of a Pokeball in Super Smash Bros., it does nothing. It makes a sound and then flies away, so it being voted so highly was a surprise to us. But apparently, that's what people like about Mew. It's totally pointless, but kinda like Goldeen, it's a funny Pokemon to summon. However, unlike Goldeen, Mew is so rare that a lot of players feel satisfied just catching a glimpse of it in a match. Returning from Super Smash Bros. Melee, we have the Steel Bug-type Scizor. In that game, they were one of, if not the best non-legendary Pokemon to summon, and that reputation has continued here. Scizor hits hard, as they should, but the main reason they rank so highly in this poll is because Scizor is a fan favourite Pokemon for a lot of players, just as good in its own game as it is in Super Smash Bros. Jumping all the way to Gen 7 for 7th place, we have Pyukumuku, the Sea Cucumber Pokemon. Pyukumuku is fairly memorable for its kind of gross ability, to use its hand-shaped innards as a counterattack, but that also makes it a fairly unique Pokemon, endearing to many players. It has a unique ability in Smash, being the Guile of the Pokemon line, except this Guile can be picked up by its trainer and thrown at opponents, giving it even further versatility. Taking 6th place is the coolest Pokemon of Generation 5, Zoroark. A lot of Pokemon fans wanted to see this mon playable back in the Smash 4 days, but at least it got to play a role here as a Pokemon summon. A lot of fans like Zoroark for how powerful it is, with many describing it as a free Final Smash, which is very apt given its destructive force. May not be on the roster, but it still managed to leave a strong impact. Coming in 5th, we have God itself, Arceus. For the creator of all Pokemon, you'd expect it to have a powerful attack, And it does, but it's well balanced. Arceus will activate its power at intervals and spike all opponents in a match. If an opponent is on the ground, this doesn't really do anything, but for those in the air, especially off the side of a stage, it is deadly. Many find this balanced and enjoy the combo potential it brings, beating into opponents and having Arceus' power finish them off. Snorlax. This big boy takes the 4th place position on our list, and we couldn't move him even if we tried. Snorlax is an iconic Pokemon in the Super Smash Bros. Series, being around since the first game and never being cut. It has a simple but really powerful attack, and that's good enough to become a fan favourite for many. It's top 3 time, and while this little ghost type didn't make it into the roster like their idol Pikachu, Mimikyu still received the love and attention it wanted as a Pokemon summon. Mimikyu has been described by many as creepy, but also cute and adorable, a real Gatmoe Pokemon. And because of this, it is a fan favourite for many who are happy to see it in Ultimate. Sticking to Sun and Moon, our 2nd place pick is the Alolan variation of Exeggutor. This palm tree dragon felt right at home on Alola and has become the fan favourite version of this Pokemon for many trainers. It just looks really funny and goofy, which is a big appeal, but its gimmick in Smash Bros. Is pretty unique. It becomes a big war that players have to fight around, and that actively changes the stage layout mid-battle. It adds a spontaneous and fun stage limitation, and that has made it very popular amongst Smash fans. And in 1st place, it's Pikachu. Wait a second, you're not a Pokeball summon. Ah, it's Ditto, the copycat Pokemon. It's pretty obvious why Smash fans like this Pokemon. The ability to copy its trainer and become a teammate who participates in the battle is an amazing idea for a summon, and it's executed perfectly. For fans of our content as well, they're aware that Ditto is actually cut content in Super Smash Bros. Melee, and are happy to see it finally get its chance to participate in the battle. And that does it for all the items, but before we wrap up this episode, we do have a couple of 0%ers in the Pokemon lineup. But can you guess who they are? Put your predictions in the comments below and we'll reveal the answer in the next episode, which plans to wrap up everything else that was included in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's base game. That includes the various modes, spirits, World of Light, and online. And if you're a patron, then that episode should already be available to you. Right now on screen are all of our $5 plus patrons who have supported us and helped make this series happen. You guys are awesome. And so are all of you watching, especially if you help share this and the previous episodes with your friends. And then subscribe, so that you always remember to return to the source.